We, the people
of the United States,
in order to form a more perfect union,
establish justice,
ensure domestic tranquility,
provide for the common defense,
promote the general welfare,
and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity,
do ordain and establish this Constitution
for the United States of America.
Founded in 1819 by Thomas Jefferson, the University of Virginia was the first institution of higher learning in the United States to include a curriculum on political studies for higher education designed to foster an enlightened body of citizens for a liberal democracy. Other universities of the day allowed only 3 choices of specialization: medicine, law, and religion. But under Jefferson's guidance, the University of Virginia became the first in the United States to allow specializations in such diverse fields as astronomy, architecture, botany, philosophy, and political science.
Democracy is a living, breathing thing that needs to be taught, because without it being taught, the next generation might lose it.
I feel like nowadays people have kind of lost sight of what the Constitution really means.
So I think that it's really important for us to sort of look back and understand every step that we took along the way to make us the nation that we are today.
University of Virginia professor James Caesar established the program in Constitutionalism and Democracy to revive Mr. Jefferson's original intent to enrich students' knowledge of our nation's founding principles, to foster an enlightened body of citizens for a liberal democracy.
It's a great syllabus. It has a momentum all its own, and it moves roughly chronologically from, say, the time of the Puritans to contemporary politics.
And it is organized in an exceptional way. And so the syllabus provides these really good bones, a skeletal structure for the class.
There are 9 units in it, but there might be a broader set of distinctions we make where the class really is in 3 or 4 parts. The first focuses on institutions, how power is dispersed according to the Constitution. Ideas like the separation of powers, the presidency, Congress, judicial review, the courts, those types of questions. But then we sort of move beyond that to also questions about justice. We have them read those Federalist Papers and parts of the Constitution that describe the nature and extent of executive power. Then we have them read Lincoln's address to Congress after he suspended habeas corpus and gave his justification for doing this as the executive, as president. And then we bring it up to the present moment and have them read an essay by Harvey Mansfield on the question of President Bush's use of executive power in the War on Terror. So oftentimes there really is a pretty straight line between the questions that were debated at the time of the founding to the types of questions we're asking now.
I love that it's a pretty small course. Discussion was always encouraged. That was really great. You did the reading for the class, and then you didn't hear a lecture about it. You engaged in it, which was really sort of what I was looking for.
Everyone contributed and had different opinions, and we really had people with opinions on 2 different ends of the spectrum, which was great. But if it was a large lecture, there's no way that we would have heard everyone's opinion.
I had heard from other students that this was a class that would offer great discussion and also brought in outside speakers and would really allow you to read a lot of primary texts.
We really closely examine the primary documents, the founders' actual thoughts, the Federalist documents, Tocqueville and Montesquieu's original writings, speeches from the presidents.
Perhaps the most compelling thing I learned was about the soft despotism and democracy that Tocqueville talked about, how the increasing role of government can decrease the spirit and the ingenuity and creativity of the people. And I think that his words, although they were written 200 years ago, they still have a lot of relevance to today.
Now, perhaps more than ever, it is essential that these future leaders be taught the principles on which our nation was founded, as Mr. Jefferson first intended. Students leave the course with a heightened awareness of how the writings of America's founders remain applicable today, and use this new knowledge to develop their own senses of citizenship.
every student responds a little differently to some part of the course.
Well, I think Tocqueville really blew me away.
I think probably the discussions that struck me the most were the ones that we had on the Lincoln-Douglas debates.
This course actually single-handedly got me interested in political thought and philosophy because it's very much a blend of the two. You kind of understand the philosophies of these great political thinkers that were at the founding base of America. And at the time I was studying only economics, and it was this course that inspired me and made me realize that I needed to have these other fields of academia to become a whole person rather than just an economist.
So I think it's very important that students realize that there are not just the contemporary issues surrounding an issue that's being debated, but that they need to look at the history of why that issue has evolved into it. Why is healthcare a debate today? Why are gun rights a debate today? What were the preceding events that led up to that?
And this course, in studying the challenges that a democracy faces, has really inspired me to work towards preserving our great country.
In concert with the Jack Miller Center and other supporters, the program in Constitutionalism and Democracy at the University of Virginia is a leader in reviving education in our founding principles and history. And it has begun to join with programs at other universities to form a consortium to encourage the development of similar courses across the nation.
It's an interesting class about the origins of America, and I would especially recommend it because of the debate that you have in class, and it's not just a lecture.
I would recommend it to pretty much anyone, whether or not they're interested in American politics. I know it was not one of my greatest interests, and it's become one of my favorite classes.
A constitution is more than just a set of rules. It sets up a social compact that defines and is defined by society, and I think you can't understand the laws or the way a people lives without understanding where it comes from, and that's what this course is really good at showing.
I'm most excited by the fact that the students are finally getting a background in their own tradition, and not one that is just a hagiography, which is just an enthusiastic support for their own regime, but also one that is not overly critical, but one that allows them to judge for themselves about the various choices that were made, both good and bad, in the building of the regime. Furthermore, it allows them the opportunity to judge political decisions that they will encounter later in their lives.
As we go into different career paths, it is extremely important to understand where we come from and to actively participate as citizens in our government system.
Knowing that what we value and what we protect and what we seek to promote is definitely going to be instrumental in whatever I end up doing.
We talked a lot about the virtues that are necessary for a citizen in a democracy, about patriotism and hard work and belief in yourself and pursuit of education, and how all these virtues are necessary to sustain a functioning, working democracy. And I think that those values apply whether you want to work in the public sector or whether you just want to be a good role model in democracy.
It's highly important for them to understand America's founding principles because this is the core of the American experiment and the American tradition. I'd say this, that the United States is a country which is founded not on the fact that we're one ethnic group, one religious group. It's founded on the fact that we share a certain set of ideas. If we lose those set of ideas, we really lose the core of what the United States is all about.
For more information on Professor Caesar's program in Constitutionalism and Democracy at the University of Virginia, please visit the on-screen web address or send an email to Professor Caesar at jwc2g@virginia.edu. This has been a Jack Miller Center digital media presentation. For more information, visit thejackmillercenter.org.